doing a great job, and we can also see for the first night the flag hanging straight out stiff, which means it's going to be a little windier strong field tonight. But getting back to what you were talking about, yeah, Tigers are missing some pretty important football players over the course of tonight's game. There's we've got 8 people not going to play tonight, including Scott Duncanson, who becomes the third tri-captain in as many, or third captain in as many years to be injured in the preseason. Stu Leckie, tailback and linebacker, is out. Danny Zaneski, who was the starting punter last year and is also a safety and backup quarterback, out with a thigh injury, and a whole variety of other people not going to see action tonight, including John Hevesy, who's going to be out for the entire year. In the meantime, the Hornets looking at with a fairly experienced football team, especially in the, I guess you call them the skill positions, the backfield and wideout people. Quarterback John Witkowski, a senior, who is a returning starter. Rich Austin, a tailback, a real good football player, a 2-year starter, back for his senior year. Mike Cardarelli, the fullback, is a 2-year starter. Timmy Hilgert in the slot. Dean Knickerbocker at the tight end, Gary DeStasio at the split end, all experienced football players and some pretty good people up front. What will be interesting is the fact that Branford is under a new head coach in Frank Radini, who is an assistant at Xavier for 19 years. And I believe that he's going to be instituting some of the Xavier offense. So we're going to see a little bit of something that we generally see on about the first week in November.
And we're set to go. John Wiesbach. His ball bounced down to 25, bounces down to the 15. And DeStasio has it, looking to cut outside. He's tripped up nicely by Todd Vince at about the 23-yard line, where the Hornets will start 1st and 10 at about the 23. Defensively for the Tigers, Green and Pegnataro will be the tackles. Kelly and Todd Vince are the defensive ends. Inside backers will be Kevin Hughes and Dave Millard. The Rovers, Pete Newcomb, Rob Spignesi, Steve McIntyre, only a sophomore and a key in the defensive backfield, along with John Wiesbach. The safety is Joe Rubler. And the first down carry is Austin. He breaks it, makes
He's gone. He's gone.
Might have the angle on him. And Austin did not need to cut back, I don't believe, Hal.
Nope.
He did. And that cost Branford a touchdown.
That gave
Wiesbach all the way down inside the Tiger 20-yard line.
That gave Wiesbach the shot to catch up, because if Austin just took it right down the sideline, he was gone, because John Wiesbach would not have caught him from behind. Austin made a little bit of a mistake there, but still, 60-yard gain, it's tough to call it a mistake.
Mitch Austin showing some very nice speed and also a good size young man at the tailback spot for Branford. The quarterback, number 2, Jonathan Witkowski, and it's DeStasio.
It's Cardarelli.
Cardarelli, excuse me, number 35.
That got stacked up in the middle. Hughes was right in the middle of that play, but the middle of the Hand defense stacked that up. Hand playing a 4-4 again this year after a couple of years of playing a little bit of 50. Tigers back to the 4-4 that was their forte in the early 1980s when they were going to state championship games every year.
And I would have to think motivationally the Branford Hornets might have a bit of an edge. First game of the 86 season with a first-year coach.
Got the option there. Ritos on the outside got the pitch, and Dave Millard, the linebacker, came out and made the stop on that. Teddy Ritos is a good football player. He did not get the start, but you're going to see him getting some action in here at the tailback spot. I think that probably he and Austin are going to be flipping around, and now you're seeing Timmy Hilgert come back in at the slot. So they're going to do a few funny things off that at the slot eye.
Ritos picked up 3 yards, so it'll be 3rd down and 7.
Big defensive play for Hand right here.
As the Hornets come out of the eye, and Witkowski first time, he looks to drop back. Wiesbach has a beat on it and picks it off. And inside the end zone, that'll be a touchback. It'll come out to the 20, and the Tigers, Hal, as you mentioned, came up with the key defensive play as they have done throughout the years here at Hand.
I'll tell you, Chris, if you remember back to last year, in this particular ballgame, one of the keys for Hand winning the game was the fact that the Tigers put great pressure on John Witkowski. I thought Witkowski grew some after that game in terms of his poise and stature and composure, because he did start all year. But that time the Tigers had very good pressure on him. He threw going backwards off his back foot. He lofted the ball up in the air for Timmy Hilgert. John Wiesbach was out there. John got a fair caught the ball.
Tigers come out 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Jesse's the fullback, and he gets the ball and pushes the ball up for about 7. Offensively, the Tigers go with Dave Green at center. Dave Millard is the right guard. Kevin Hughes the right tackle. Pete Shaler in at left guard. Chris Pegnataro is the left tackle. Spignesi the fullback. Kelly the tailback. Hevesy the QB. Out wide, Peter Nofrio, number 90, the split end. And co-captain John Wiesbrock is the flanker.
Branford playing an over 50 here, and on that play, Mark Cardarelli slanted in and made the tackle. This time, the 50 doesn't quite work as well.
And Ryan Kelly picks up about 5. It'll bring up 3rd down and about 2.
Ritos came in from the safety spot. It's probably about a 1.5-yard play here for the Tigers. And right now, if Branford plays that same defense again, look for that between guard and tackle on the right side of the hand offensive line, because that's where the hole is.
Out of the eye, Hevesy looks around, pitches to Kelly. Kelly sheds a tackler and gets out over the 30, enough for a 1st down. And as Coach Larry Ciani mentioned to me earlier, that both his fullback and tailback do not possess great speed, but they will be very hard to bring down tonight.
All right, Jeff Schwartz on the outside made the tackle on that, but you're right, Brian Kelly shed that 1st tackle. I thought he was sitting in the backfield, and he did a nice job driving it upfield for the 1st down.
1st and 10 from the 31. The Tigers send Peter Nofrio wide to the right. Use a pro set backfield, splitting Kelly and Spignesi, the flanker to the left. And they go to like a
little bit of a counter dive there.
He countered to Kelly, and Kelly got up for a couple. And again, 2nd and about 7.5 or so for the Tigers.
And the right inside linebacker there, Jeff Schwartz, number 44, again in on the tackle. Linebackers pinching in fairly well here and trying to cut off that middle. But over the course of time, Tigers can block a little bit. They may be able to get outside. I don't think Branford respects hand speed outside at all right now.
Back to the eye, they send Rubler in motion, down, out, and down to Onofrio. And
nice catch!
A beautiful catch over midfield, inside the Hornet 45-yard line. It'll be spotted down at the 42 as 6'4", 206-pound senior Pete Onofrio with a beautiful catch.
Oh, that was a marvelous catch by Onofrio, because he had Gary DeStasio draped all over him and 2 other defensive backs closing in. Turned around and just put both hands around that ball, wrapped it in, did a great job.
And of course, Onofrio filling in for co-captain Scott Duncanson, who's out with a broken rib, will miss about half the year. The give is straight up to Kelly, and Kelly gets inside the 40 down to about the 38-yard line.
So far, let's give the hand offensive line a little bit of credit, because the Tigers definitely doing a very nice job of opening some holes up the middle. David Green, number 60 at the center, Dave Millard, number 62, and Pete Shaler, number 754 at the guards. And Kevin Hughes, number 74, and Chris Pegnataro, 77 at the tackles, doing a very nice job opening holes.
2nd and 6, Kelly gets the call over right tackle, and he's tripped up after picking up a couple. And it'll bring up a 3rd down and about 4 for the Tigers.
And Darren Grandel, a nose guard, number 50, scraping across on that play, made the stop. Joey Rubler into the lineup for hand.
On 3rd down, 5. Tigers send
2 people wide to the short side. Let's see what we're going to try to throw here.
Onofrio and Rubler, but the give is to Kelly, and reading it extremely nicely is Joe Lepre, number 66, one of the captains.
Joe Lepre, one of the tri-captains for Branford, is he's been around. He's played a couple years of football for the Hornets, and like a lot of the other Branford players, he does have experience on this football field. The game was played here last year, as a matter of fact. Branford came back here apparently looking from a situation of some sort of a gate split, and knowing that drawing a crowd here on Friday night would probably be better than doing it in Branford on Saturday morning.
4th and 7, the Tigers are punting. Branford looked like they expected the Tigers to maybe go for it. Now they send a couple men back.
That's a Xavier trick again.
Hits the ball down inside the 10. A nice run back by Tim Hilgert. the junior, and he gets it out over the 20, up to about the 23-yard line.
Again, Chris, that's a Xavier thing, with where Xavier used to do that, if you recall, not drop the people back until the last minute, just sit there, play games defensively, and then all of a sudden shift into the punt return formation. And I think that's sort of one of the things that maybe Frank Radini has brought to this team.
And the Hornets come out in the familiar eye for them. Austin, he's tripped up. He stumbles forward for one. We'll bring up a 2nd down and 9 for those who are wondering. The Branford Hornets in the Housatonic League. Last year they finished 6th with a record of 3-6, and they were 3-7. Overall, the Tigers, of course, Shoreline champions with a record of 3-0. Now in the Coastal Conference, their overall record last year was 9-2.
Robbie Spignesi in on the tackle on that play did a nice job coming down very quickly to close up the hole.
And Witkowski on a little play action. Out of the backfield has Cottarelli. He slips a tackle by Hughes, and another one by Spignesi. And 8 other tacklers then finally bring him down after he crossed the 25 up to about the 28-yard line, where it'll bring up a 3rd down situation for the Hornets.
Cottarelli was probably around the 31-yard line and tried to cut it back, make a couple extra yards, and the hand pursuit caught up with him very quickly. Tim Hilger checks back in for Branford. Branford runs that eye very, very tight. You don't see that tailback lined. The tailback's lined up maybe 5.5 yards deep. A lot of eyes, you'll see the tailback another 1.5 yards behind that.
Hilger into Stasio, split out to the left, but it goes to Austin out of the backfield. Breaks about 3 tackles, and finally falls forward to about the 39. Plenty for the 1st down for the Hornets.
And again, Rich Austin touches the football. He's exciting.
7.5 minutes into the 1st quarter here at Strong Field. Still no score between the Hand Tigers and the Branford Hornets. First time tonight, the Hornets come out, showing the power eye left, and Witkowski pitches out to the right.
Bad pitch.
And a very, very nice play by Ritos to control that. And it'll be a loss on the play for the Hornets.
Ted Ritos is a great athlete, and he made a great athlete's play on that, because that was a not particularly bright pitch by Witkowski, who was on his way down and flipped the ball totally blind. Teddy Ritos made a nice play just to get the ball and get to where he did.
Defensively, Pete Shaler checks in at left defensive end for the Tigers. Flag on the play. Big hole for Ritos. He gets up to midfield, but it's
we got a procedure on Branford. Again, the way the Tigers are playing that defense, that hole is open, and Austin is very, very quick, and he's taking advantage of it. But this time, Hand kind of caught a break and got the penalty. First one of the night. As a matter of fact, talking about penalties, we might as well go through the officials here real quick. Billy Riccio, the referee, the guy who in the white hat who made the signal. Kevin Woods from Madison is the umpire. Pete McLaughlin, the linesman, and John McGovern, the line judge. And up in the press box keeping the clock is Henry Roach, who will never age, even though he's about 97.
2nd down, 17, and Witkowski keeps it, and he does not gain much, perhaps a half a yard. Call it 3rd and 16, 3 minutes, 15 seconds to go here in the 1st quarter.
Very late arriving crowd tonight, Chris. Looking out here, and there are not a whole lot of fans in the stands, especially not for a Hand opener. But if you look down Surf Club Road, there are car lights as far down as you can see. I think people maybe all of a sudden realized there was a football game going on tonight.
And Witkowski's forced to sprint out left, and it'll be picked off. Intended for Tim Hilger at about the 40-yard line.
Pete Newcomb got the pick, and he was about 1.5 steps from breaking that, too. Timmy Hilger turned back in and made a nice defensive play, making the tackle. If he hadn't, that ball was out there, and Pete Newcomb had nothing but a whole bunch of green in front of him to the end zone.
So far, Hal, I'm a bit surprised that the Hornets, as far as their passing game goes, have not gone after the left cornerback, who's only a sophomore, Steve McIntyre, who also is only 5 feet 7 inches tall.
Agreed, and I talked to Larry before the the game, he said, he may make his share of mistakes, but before it's over, he is going to be a great football player. Last time he told me that was about Jimmy Bell.
Tigers send Wiesbrock in motion as Hevesy sprints out, slips one tackle, stays on his feet, and crosses inside the 30 down to about the 28-yard line.
Stunning development in and of itself. Chris Hevesy outran somebody to the corner.
And Hevesy, nice move to get by Jeff Schwartz, number 44, and that kind of made things happen.
And we talked about that before too, Chris. That you said that Chris Hevesy had maybe picked up a couple of feet of speed over the course of the summer, and obviously he did on that play, because I think last year on that play, Chris would have gotten nailed before he got to the corner.
Last year, what I noticed about Chris was north and south, he had some really decent speed, but laterally, I think is where he's picked up the couple feet, and I think that was the difference, as you said, Hal, right there, getting by Schwartz and being able to turn the corner this year, whereas last year he wasn't able to turn the corner.
And once again, its hand is about maybe 3 inches short of a first down here. Does not seem that the Hornets particularly respect hand speed to the outside at all. And I think that if hand can turn the corner, it might change the complexion of the ballgame a little.
And the Tigers will be short, so second down, less than a yard.
It's a free play here. I'll tell you what, from right here, I'd go for the end zone. Wind at my back, late in the first quarter. I think I might try to throw long here.
Well, they've been playing man-to-man on Onofrio against DeStasio out on the right here. And Onofrio, of course, is 6'4", and DeStasio is under 6 feet. But Hevesy keeps it, falls forward to the 25, gets a couple and plenty for the first.
Gary DeStasio, a real good basketball player, and I believe that he can dunk. Even though he's only about 5'10", 5'11", can get up in the air and has very good quickness, good hands, good feet. But at the same time, you're right, Onofrio, especially on the play before, showed very well. He just went up over DeStasio, made a great catch on the ball. You have him out there one-on-one to the wide side of the field, might be worth messing around with.
Rubler goes in motion. He's giving Wiesbrock a breather who's going both ways. And Hevesy looks for Rubler, and he throws it a little behind him as Rubler slides down. Valiant effort down at about 21, but incomplete.
Chris getting up very slowly, and he's kind of semi-limping back to the huddle. That is not good news, because Danny Sineski, who's his backup, is nursing a thigh bruise, will play only in an emergency. So Chris may have to gut this out. And he's not in good shape. He's coming up, he's still limping it when he's getting ready to take the snap right here.
Second down and 10. Out of the eye, the toss goes to Kelly. And Kelly taken down by a host of tacklers for the Hornets after Kelly gets inside the 25 down to the 24-yard line.
Tell you what, Kevin Hughes did a nice job out there, because all of a sudden he had 3 people to block at the same time, and he tied up 2 of them and allowed Brian Kelly to get a couple of yards out of that play, where I think probably a lot of times that wouldn't have happened at all.
Third down and 7, and probably 2-play territory here for the Tigers as they're down close to the 23-yard line. And Onofrio is split right, the pitch to Kelly, big hole. Kelly cuts back, still on his feet.
Nice move.
Goes all the way in. Brian Kelly, and as Larry Ciotti mentioned, today is very hard to bring down.
Brian Kelly showed a marvelous hit move. The first one to get through. The second one, he kind of broke through a tackle, and that was the strength. But that first one, he just threw a great hip move, and he faked about 3 Branford people going to the outside, cut it back to the inside, and boom, 23-yard touchdown. That was impressive.
And with exactly 1 minute left in the first quarter, the Tigers will look to add to their lead, make it 7-0. Wiesbrock will do the kicking for the Tigers. Hevesy is the holder. The kick is up, and the kick is good. So, with 1 minute left in the first quarter, the Tigers get on the board first. The score, and 7, Branford 0.
Right here. 5'4", score, 119.
Wiesbach hits a nice one end over end, comes down to Austin at about the 10, and Austin's up over the 20, and hit there, and a flag comes in.
And we're going to get a spearing call, I bet.
It's on them.
I think we have a spear coming.
And in on the tackle, Chris Flanagan, number 6.
At the 25-yard line.
Oh, we're going the other way.
The Hornets.
Got a clipping on Branford on the play. That was one I missed. And the reason I said something about the spear is because that's a point of emphasis with the officials this year, is to call that use of the helmet. And that's 15 yards. Anytime you do, it's a personal foul. And flagrant use is an ejection. And that's something that the officials have been told by the National Federation that they are supposed to use as a point of emphasis this year. I did not see the clip, and the flag came right in where a hand player was in on the tackle and was definitely using the hat.
Correction, first and 10.
Hornets come out first and 10. Ball was put back halfway to the goal, so they start from the 12 as Austin had carried it up to the 24. And on the first down play, picking up about 2 yards is Austin. Another flag on the play, and it possibly could be a face mask.
David Green did a very nice job on the tackle on that play. He came over and he made the initial hit before Newcomb got in on it. But there is a penalty on the Tigers, and you may be right, face mask. Yes, it is. That's what Kevin Woods is calling, and Billy Riggio just came out and called the same thing.
That moves the ball out to the 28-yard line. First and 10. 2 receivers to the left. It's Austin again. He slips 3 or 4. And he cuts back, and he may be gone. Only Wiesbach. Once again, though, Austin decides to cut back. Nice juke. He'll go all the way, it looks like, unless Rubler can catch it. He can't. And all the way for the touchdown. We'll call it 72 yards.
Want to call it 72? 72, rather than what Paul said, which is 62. I see something yellow on the sideline over there, but I don't think that's a flag, so I don't think we're going to worry about it.
There are no flags on the play. And quickly, just
Rich Austin is
35 seconds after the Tigers scored, the Hornets come right back on a 72-yard run by Rich Austin.
Which gives him 130 on 2 carries that we know about, and a few more in between. Grindell misses, though. He hooked it wide right, or wide left, rather. And Tigers still keep the lead, 7-6. Darren Grindell, who is a veteran place kicker, just hooked that ball wide. Win maybe had a little bit to do with that.
So with just 25 seconds left in the first quarter, it's now the Tigers 7 and the Hornets 6.
Doesn't get the 1,000 this year.
No, Hal, I know. Unless I get the 1,000 side.
I'll take the over, yeah.
Wiesbach picks it up at the 10, and he gets it back up close to the 25 to about the 24-yard line.
Turns it out across the 20.
In on the stop for the Hornets, Mike Pepe,
And
number 31.
Jason Lamont, number 30, who is a very, very good athlete at Branford. Outstanding pole vaulter in track, and is going to be a good football player. He's only a sophomore.
And the Tigers, with 15 seconds left here in the first quarter, have the ball at the 24-yard line with the wind at Chris Hevesy's back. And it's up in the air whether they'll get this play off as the clock winds down to 2 seconds. 1 second. Wiesbach is in motion, and the Tigers do not get the play off. Just about set for second quarter action. The Tigers will start it at the 24-yard line. Branford forced to call a timeout right before this quarter began. They only had 10 men on the field, and were forced to call a timeout. So we're set for action here. First play of the second quarter. Tigers once again out in the eye. Kelly behind Hevesy. Wiesbach in motion right to left. Nobles to the left. And a flag on the play as Kelly takes it straight up.
Kelly, the ball carrier.
That's going to be on hand. Too many people going at the same time. Tigers pulled the second man into motion. Wiesbach was still in motion, and somebody else came into motion, and that's what the call was there. My guess would be that you dump the penalty here because it was maybe a 1-yard gain.
5 yarders is fine. 5 yarders is fine.
People were interested in what the Tigers did, Al, during the preseason. They did lose 20-14 to Derby, beat South Windsor by a score of 28-8. Were victorious over North Haven 22-14, and then in the Jamboree beat Plainville 7-0, tied West Haven at 0, and lost 7-2 to New Britain. Those were all just 1/4 of the game.
And Branford did turn down the penalty there, which was a procedure penalty, so we got 2nd and 10. And Kelly gets stacked up in the middle of the line. I'll tell you, the most impressive thing in there is the 0-0 quarter with West Haven, because Hand physically dominated the game, and West Haven is without question a top 10 team this year. And that's something the Tigers are going to have to do to people this year. They're going to have to be physically dominant because they don't have the brilliant speed. They don't have a Jimmy Bell or a David Thompson who's going to break you 70-yard plays. They're going to have to grind it out. They're going to have to do it without mistakes. Branford trying to get people off the field here. Hornets a little bit confused defensively. Now they're set.
And I believe they may have 12 men on the field. Kelly looking to get outside, can't. And Tigers should be forced to punt. So I was quickly counting the number of Branford players on the field, and I was coming up with 12.
Apparently the officials weren't.
And there's still 12 on the field. As number 41, Ted Ritos, walks off, and he was on the field for that play. So there was 12 men on the field, and the officials missed it.
For all you people with VCRs, replay that one at home Monday night.
And now Onofrio will be...
And he's kicking into the wind this one.
Into the wind, and Onofrio, of course, subbing for Danzineski, and Onofrio's kick is fair caught, but
no!
Recovered by Wiesbach at the 48-yard line.
Mistake there. Mistake there. Was that? No, that was Kelly. That was Kelly, number 32, not 22 Wiesbach. Brian Kelly on the fumble recovery. And a little bit of a mistake there by the Hornets. You've got to come in, square the shoulders up, catch that ball at the waist and bring it in. Don't be trying to do fingertips out, reaching way out in front of you on that catch, on the fair catch.
I think it was the wind that pulled the ball down and caught the Hornet receiver by surprise.
Peter, Onofrio will tell you that was a little top spin on that.
Right.
Good bite.
Single setback. Tigers had 4 people. And Hevesy sprinting out to the right, and it's caught by Wiesbach, but he's out of bounds.
Nelson Wang putting real tough pressure on Hevesy there. Chris kept pretty good composure, got a decent pass off where nobody else could possibly touch it. Wiesbach made a great diving catch, unfortunately dove out of bounds.
Second quarter, Tigers in front 7-6, and looking to drive it down. They're inside the Hornet territory at the Branford 48-yard line. The pitch goes to Kelly, slips 1 tackle, but he's met head-on by 3 Hornet tacklers and taken down after a pickup of about 2. And bring up 3rd down and 8.
That's on the Branford linebackers, Jeff Schwartz in particular, over there to make the tackle. He got through Nelson Wang, who's getting nice penetration right now. And all of a sudden he got met by Schwartz and Ritos, and somebody else from that defensive secondary was over there to make the play. Big play right here. Tigers almost have to throw.
Tigers have Newcomb, Wiesbach, and Onofrio all to the left. Pitch goes that way. Kelly looks to cut back, and he is stacked up by a couple of tacklers for the Hornets, including
Wang again, and Jason Lamont over there, linebacker, who did not start the ball game. Playing the outside linebacker, came over and made a stop.
Number 47.
Checking in, Todd Vince, offensively. Left guard.
Let's see if Hand can pull another one of those plays and gain some more yardage on a fumbled punt.
Onofrio will hit this one close to his own 45. Nice snap. And This time it hangs, a good kick into the wind. It'll bounce down inside the 20. Takes a bit of a Branford bounce, and it'll be spotted right about the 20-yard line where Branford will take over.
And Brian Kelly, again, the man down there. He was the man who downed the ball. Brian coming right down the middle on that punt return, punt coverage team, has twice been right in the middle of the action.
Hornets come out with Cardarelli and Austin, right tackle, Rich Austin, up to the 35-yard line, pick up of 15 yards, and we'll be looking at a young man, Howland, will be close to over 200 yards by the end of the first half.
And guess who made the tackle on that? Timmy Hilgert, his own teammate, was diving out to try to make a block, and Austin started to make a cutback, and Austin tripped over Tim Hilgert. Tim Hilgert was pounding his fist on the turf, because if Austin had cut that to the sideline, he was gonzo again.
First and 10, 8 minutes left, first half. Austin again, once again. Big hole, he's got the speed, and Wiesbach brings it down inside Tiger territory at the 32-yard line, and now Austin has got great speed. There's no doubt about that.
He just has no brains.
He's awful, awful tough, but the Tigers are missing many tackles here in the first half.
Nelson Wang, great block on that. The other thing is that, if Rich Austin had kept that to the outside, he was gone. Again, he tried to cut it back. He is down right now, and he got necktied on the tackle. John Wiesbach was up high with the tackle. I don't know if, maybe he jarred something upstairs shoulder or got the wind knocked out of him or what happened on that play. But again, if Rich Austin had cut that play to the outside, touchdown. He started to cut it back in, and Nelson Wang got a great block about 10, 12 yards downfield for him, which would have sprung him to the outside. And he's trying to make the extra cutback sometimes that he doesn't have to make.
As he is still down.
Austin did come out, but Teddy Rito's coming in is not exactly a slouch.
And the ball down about the 32-yard line, first and 10, and it's Ritos. And he gets inside the 30 to the 29, pick up about 3, second down 7 for the Hornets. And right now, Hal, I'd have to say the Tigers are in danger of possibly losing this game should Austin come back healthy, because clearly the running game for the Hornets is almost unstoppable at this point.
Right, and what Hand's got to do is to force that third and long situation and put the ball up, because so far Branford has completed more passes to Hand than it has to Branford. Flags and a fumble, and it's going to be interesting to see who got this. There was just a bad snap. Illegal procedure, Branford.
Illegal procedure. Penalty against Branford.
Now you're setting up that second and 12, second and 13 play. And the Tigers, this is a big play for the Tigers. Ian has to make second down a real big play to try to force that third and long, because so far Branford has not shown anything resembling the ability to throw the ball.
Second down and 13 for the Hornets. 7 minutes to go here in what seems to be a long first half. They send 2 receivers to the left, and screen is being set up, and it's picked off by Green at the 43-yard line, and that screen was set up perfectly to Green.
Exactly. Tigers read that thing as soon as we did. Maybe even sooner, because they knew what they were doing, and we're standing up here watching. But that is the third pass that John Witkowski has completed to Hand in less than a half of football. And I'm trying to recall, but I don't believe the Hornets have completed a pass to themselves.
And Witkowski clearly just ran back 10 or 15 yards. It was way too obvious.
There's no fake at all on that.
And there was no real pressure to need for him to go back that far. And the Tigers read it perfectly. Spignesi carries the ball. Kelly's been much of the workhorse here in the first half. And he gets to about the 46-yard line. Pickup of 2, second and 8, 6.5 minutes to go. First half. Tigers in front 7-6. The Hornets have dominated much of the first half, if not for a couple turnovers.
Right, and then, 3 turnovers, and that is all on intercepted passes. That is hurt. hand right here has to put something together. Tigers have got to try to control the football for a while and get into the end zone.
Right now, the Hornets have about 9 men within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And Hevesy will go deep for an Ofrio, but he's pressured and taken down. It's number 25 for the Hornets.
It's Chris Bell, the monster back on a blitz on that play. Coming from the blind side, Chris Hevesy had no clue he was there. Again, as you said, with 9 people up close, the monster back's close on that play, and he just blitzed from the far side. Boom.
They had the one-on-one coverage with an Ofrio, where I believe was either running a down, out, and down, or some sort of flag pattern. And that was clearly who Hevesy was looking for.
Shotgun for the first time this year. Tigers go shotgun here, Chris.
On 3rd and 15. And Hevesy over the middle has Wiesbach.
First down.
Up for the first down. As Wiesbach gets inside Hornet territory down to the 45-yard line.
And Cardarelli on the tackle on that play, but Chris Hevesy, nice poise, just stood back in there, waited for Wiesbach, faked the outside cut, turned it back in, and against the zone, he found the seam, he was open, caught the ball, turned it up, and did exactly what he had to do. Needed 15, got 17.
First and 10, once again, shotgun. Mike Fiorentino now in at one of the tailbacks. Hevesy, a lot of room up the middle. He makes a nice juke on one tackler, and he'll get enough for another first down. Inside the 35, down to the 34-yard line.
Branford a little shaky with that zone coverage, and again the Hornets were back against the shotgun. Branford is going with the double zone, with the linebackers dropping and then the defensive people dropping deep. And Hevesy saw that. This time he saw the linebackers not even looking at him and just took it off.
And with 9 men up close consistently for the Hornets, the middle has been open. So I look for the Tigers to maybe hit the tight end one of these times. This time it goes out of the backfield, intended for Spignesi, who Coach Ciani told me was their best ball catcher right now, with Duncan sent out with the broken rib.
Right, good hands. Ball was behind him on that play. He had to turn it around. And again, Chris Bell was coming from the far side as the monster back. This time, though, Chris got rid of the ball quickly enough so that Bell was still about 5-6 yards away from him when he threw it. Hornets taking their second time out of the half. There these little suckers are.
Dave Green leads the Tigers to the line of scrimmage. 4:37 to go first half, 2nd and 10. Hevesy sprints out to the right, and he is taken down by Knickerbocker, number 85. Also,
Hevesy stopped behind the line of scrimmage by Nelson Wang.
Chip Stevens, number 10.
And Ryan Wang again in there. Nelson Wang playing a very, very good game for Branford so far. Big play right here on the 3rd and 13. I would imagine shotgun coming up. No. That's surprising. Tigers have had some success with that.
Hevesy lost 3 on the last play. Under 4 minutes, 3rd and 13. The pitch to Mike Fiorentino. And he's hit pretty hard at about the 35-yard line. So they'll get back about 2 of the 3 they lost. And it'll bring up 4th and 11.
And Nelson Wang and Chip Stevens on the tackle on that play. Fiorentino outran a couple of people, just kind of ran through 2 tacklers in the backfield because Branford had a blitz going.
1 to the 35 will bring up 4th and 12.
Well, this is not exactly the situation you want to be in, although Tigers are going to try to punt here. From the 34, maybe just try to pin people deep. Branford going single safety, maybe not all that sure their hand's going to.
Tim Hilgert, and flying in from the right-hand side was Vestasio. And a good punt, and just into the end zone for the touch.
Got a flag down out here, unless that's a beanbag. There's a flag at the 17.
And Ofrio's punt is down in the end zone. Branford will start 1st and 10 at the 20.
No flag on the play.
No, official just lost his notebook. That's all it was. He lost his notebook. Officials keep track of timeouts and penalties in the notebook, and it just came out.
And Austin is not in the game currently for the Hornets, so Ritos will be the tailback. He'll get the call over the right side, slips a couple tackles, falls forward up to the 25-yard line.
Kevin Hughes got the stop on him on that, number 74. And Ritos managed to crawl it forward for a couple extra yards before he finally hit the ground.
Junior Mike Cavallero, number 24, the flanker checks in. They send two receivers to the left side along with Terry Holmes, the split end. And it's Ritos. And he'll get 3. That'll bring up 3rd down and a long 2. With 2.5 minutes to go, first half. Hornets down 1.
That time, Todd Vins, number 76, defensive tackle, made the stop on that one, diving in there, and Ritos got over that for a couple yards. But we got a 3rd and 2 here, which is a real big play for the hand defense.
And once again, a big hole for the Hornets as Teddy Ritos gets up just shy of midfield. We'll call it the 49-yard line. And once again, Hal, there are some big holes opening up for the Hornets.
Yes, there are. That's one of the things with the 4-4 is that defensively you've got to be quick enough to cover those things off. When you play the 50, you've got a man over the middle or very close to the middle. With the 4-4, you're counting on your linebackers to make those stops. When the linebackers do, you look good. When they don't, is what happened on that play. Boom, you're in the secondary.
Once again, Ritos, big hole. He carries a couple tacklers with him inside the 35 to the Tiger 34. And Brighton, Steen, Lepper, Wang, Lillis, Iovine, got to credit them, those 5 young men on the offensive line for Branford.
And guess what? Todd Vins just checked back in. We will stop seeing that happen. He just came out for a little bit of a breather, and he's back into the ball game now.
And Pete Onofrio in at right tackle, number 90. As the pitch goes left, it's Ritos. Tigers get a lot of penetration. As Kelly and Millard both got a hit on Ritos and finally taken down by Vince.
Branford taking its 3rd time out. Just can't throw.
2nd down 9, 2 receivers to the left. Witkowski taken down by Vince, who, after checking back in the game, has been in on the last 2 tackles. And he has seemed to make a bit of a difference when he's been in there defensively for the Tigers, not Vince.
Right, and now Chris Pignataro is back in, so both starting defensive tackles are back in. Chris got his breather for a couple plays. So one would assume at this point that what holes there were up the middle are going to start to get stuffed up a little bit more.
And with 1 minute left, I think perhaps we'll see Witkowski put it up here. 3rd and 10. No, they go to Ritos. And Ritos gets down to about the 31-yard line. Bring up 4th down and 45 seconds left and no timeouts for the Branford Hornets.
Millard and Green, and on that tackle, Dave Millard was down on the ground, reached up with it and just threw a hand up and grabbed Ritos' ankle on the way through.
Well, the Windad is back 4th down 6. Down now to 30 seconds left.
With his completion percentage, I wouldn't be throwing.
And straight drop back about 7 steps. Witkowski. And it was tipped by Newcomb, I believe.
If it hadn't been tipped by Newcomb, it was 4 interceptions. Because Dave Millard was right in line to intercept that ball if it had not been tipped, and that would have been 4 completions to the Tigers in this half.
Now with 25 seconds to go in the half,
we play I-Claw down.
The wind in their face. We'll see exactly whether the Tigers decide to do that. They do have a 7-6 lead.
Want a clue?
The ball is at the 31-yard line.
Want a clue? Tony Giannetti just walked downstairs.
Well, anyway, they come out with somewhat of a passing formation with the split backs, 2 wide receivers, left and right. And Hevesy will go down at about the 26, and that'll be it for the first half of action as the clock winds down close to 10 seconds. And the Tigers head for the dressing room. Had an interesting first half of play.
Yes, it was. Branford, in a way, certainly statistically dominated the half, but hands ahead 7-6 on the scoreboard.
And we'll be looking forward to checking in with Paul Nichols and getting the stats on Rich Austin and see how close to 200 or so yards he did have in the first half. We'll be back with more hand football action here on Madison Community TV. The halftime score, the Tigers 7 and the Hornets 6. have a 7-6 lead as the Hornets tee it up. First half stats, first downs, Branford 7 and 5. Rushing, big edge goes to Branford, Hal. 18 carries, 292 yards on the ground. The Tigers averaging less than 3 a carry at 22 for 62. Branford 15 yards in the air. The Tigers 46. Hevesy is 2 for 5, no interceptions. Witkowski 2 for 6 with 3 interceptions. The leading ball carriers, Austin 6 carries, 179 yards. Kelly for the Tigers 13 for 48.
Darren Grandel set to kick it off, and everybody was onside.
And into the wind, he drives Wiesbrock back to the 12. Wiesbrock over the 20, and he'll go down at about the 26-yard line. Wiesbrock maybe a bit tentative bringing the ball back there. Kickoff returners, you like to see them run a little faster, a little bit more reckless abandon. And the Tigers have not got great field position on the kickoffs.
All right, Mike Pepe in on the tackle on that play. Richie Austin, we understand, is questionable as to whether or not he's going to play in the second half. He is in uniform on the sideline, but his helmet is off, standing right now around the 44, 45-yard line, kind of down at the end of the Branford bench.
Offensively, one change. Rubler starts the second half for Wiesbrock, who returned the kickoff. And on the first play, Tigers pick up 1. It'll bring up second down and 9.
And Dean Knickerbocker in on the tackle. And the Tigers have had a tendency to run right, which is away from Dean Knickerbocker's side. This time coming at him, and he was right there to make the stop, the defensive end for North Branford. Now he's flipping to the other side of the field, so he's going to the wide side.
And the wide receiver, Onofrio, is out of the game, and Rubler will stay in along with Wiesbrock. Moves over, I believe, to the tight end position.
Kelly, the ball carrier, and he's still down, getting up very, very slowly.
And a short gain once again for the Tigers, and right off the bat here, they're stuck with third and long. We'll call it 8 as Onofrio checks in for Kelly and Rubler. And also into the game, we'll have to see the number here.
Mike Fiorentino, number 26, also checking in.
Fiorentino, who I believe had 1 carry in the first half. He lines up the tailback. They sent Onofrio split left. And they pitch to Fiorentino. And Fiorentino is well short of the first down, and the Tigers will be forced to punt it away on 4th down.
Paul was there, but the Branford linebackers closed that down very, very quickly. I thought that Mike might have had a shot to cut that thing back and get the first down, but Branford closed the hole very, very well. He had a good sweep going, got nice initial blocking, but Branford cut it off.
Rest of the first half stats, how receiving, Onofrio had 1 catch for 24, Wiesbrock 1 for 22, Cardarelli 1 for 5 for Branford, and Austin 1 for 10. Obviously, Austin the big gun in the first half. Onofrio angles it to the right, and it'll be fielded there by Hilgert at the 40. And he slips 3 or 4 tackles. He gets up to the 49-yard line, and once again, the Tigers are missing an enormous amount of tackles here in the opening game of the 86 season.
Couple missed tackles there, but again, you know, you've got to give Branford some credit on that. There are some people there who don't like to go down either. Fairly tough runners and some people with very good quickness. Timmy Hilgert broke the initial set of tacklers, and finally Wiesbrock wrestled him down.
Holmes and Hilgert split to the right, and the carry goes to Reedus, gets inside hand territory down to the 47-yard line.
And Austin is not in there, so apparently the report that you got at halftime, Chris, that Austin was doubtful for the second half is certainly showing up, because one would expect that he would be in there as soon as possible if he were ready to play.
Yeah, I'm not sure which coach I talked to, one of the assistants, and he said things were bleak as far as Austin seeing any action in the second half. But Reedus proved that he can do the job also in the first half. Might not have quite the speed of Austin, but he picked up some nice yards in the first half. He's the ball carrier there, and perhaps gets a yard to bring up 3rd and about 6 for the Hornets.
Big play there by Kevin Hughes. Kevin stood him up, waited for Dave Millard to come in and make the rest of the stop, but that was Kevin piling the play up right at the line of scrimmage.
And Witkowski looks for running room, has it, and he's hit.
Close. I think he's got the first down. You see the spot on it, but it looks to me as though he's got a first down.
Steve McIntyre also in there.
Oh, now the way the official spotted the ball, maybe he doesn't have the first down.
It's about a half a yard short.
This is a gamble play right here for Branford, going into the wind, but in hand territory, and the Hornets are going for it.
Well, with the holes they've been opening up thus far this evening, I don't blame them for going for it, and it's a sneak.
Procedure penalty on Branford. Now
There's an illegal motion, I believe.
Yep. He had forward motion on the outside. I think Cardarelli was in forward motion rather than lateral motion, and I believe that you're going to wind up going 5 yards against Branford, and that's going to bring up a fourth and maybe 5.5 or 6. At this point, it becomes punt time.
Once again, penalties, interceptions, fumbles really have been the difference in the ball game, and the reason that Branford trails.
The sort of first game mistakes that you expect both teams to make, and thus far Hand has been remarkably free of those kinds of mistakes, and that's the only way, realistically, that the Tigers will win. Not make mistakes.
Witkowski back to punt. Wiesbrock drops deep along with McIntyre and gets some pressure, hangs it high. McIntyre does not fair catch it, perhaps he should have, and he's met hard at the 20 but hangs on to the ball. Was that Chris Bell?
Number 25, Chris Bell, the man down. What happened on that was, I think, a mistake by Hand. The Tigers did not block the wide man on the wide side of the field. Hand did not block the wide out man, and he had a clear shot coming downfield.
Kelly checks back in at the tailback spot. Messi is a fullback, hasn't seen the ball much. And Kelly goes down after picking up a couple. Initial hit back at the line of scrimmage. It's definitely Jeff Schwartz.
Yep. Made a nice play coming across on that, and slowed Kelly down enough to pursuit to catch up to him.
Fiorentino and Rubler check in for Wiesbrock and Kelly 2nd and 7 as they give Kelly 3. 6 minutes and 40 seconds to go from the quarter. Tigers still up 7-6. Hevesy sprints out right. Looking for an opening down, out, and down. Has him open and goes off his hands and incomplete at about the 45-yard line.
There were about 97 kinds of pass interference on that play, too. But apparently it was before the ball had gotten up in the air, and Oprio was getting killed. And apparently because it was before the ball had gotten up in the air, it wasn't called. But he was getting nailed all the way downfield on that play. And he wound up turning defensive back because he knew he didn't have position on the ball. He wound up batting it down. I think he's going to be a good one before he's through, Chris.
3rd down and 7. Hevesy once again down, out, and down. Decides to keep it as Hilgert read it well and was playing pretty soft on Wiesbrock on the right side.
Right, Branford had nice coverage on that. The entire zone rotated over that way, and they had somewhere between 1 and 2 men, sometimes 1.5, sometimes 2 on everybody. And it sets up a punt formation, and Hand is going to be kicking this time with the wind. So one would figure that Onofrio might get off a decent punt here. I understand he bumped a 65-yarder the other day, so he's got the leg to kick it well.
Hilgert and Estasio as he hangs it high. It'll come down, fair caught, and fumbled once again. And picked up by Wiesbrock. This time Wiesbrock. Last time
This time it was Wiesbrock, and it was Kelly. This time Wiesbrock.
Wiesbrock down at the Hornet 36-yard line. So once again, the mistakes costing the Hornets dearly.
5th Branford turnover of the night, including 2 fumbled punts and 3 interceptions. It's tough to win a football game when you give the ball up that many times. Also, Robbie Spignesi right there on that play. I know it's just simply, you've got to catch the ball.
Obviously, the Hornets are talented because generally with 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions, you find yourself down a lot more
Against the end, you find yourself buried, and that's not happening because Branford is a good football team.
And Fiorentino gets the ball inside the 35.
lot of football tonight both ways.
Hevesy straight drop back.
He's open.
Over the middle. Newcomb, and he has it down at about the 22-yard line. And as I mentioned earlier in the first half, the middle to the tight end has been open. And the Tigers finally take advantage and pick up the first down.
Newcomb on drag was open that time, and deeper if he'd had time to throw the ball. D'Onofrio, I think, was just coming open around the 10-yard line to the outside. That's something you might look for. Maybe run that pattern to the other side of the field, and D'Onofrio is going that way. You run Newcomb dragging across that way. D'Onofrio, you may see open deep if he decides to throw.
Throw set. Hevesy sprints out, cuts it back. It's inside the 20 down to the 19. They'll give him 3. And that'll bring up second down 7.
This is sort of territory where the Tigers have a tendency to be a little bit conservative. And always would rather run than throw. So, we'll see what's happening here.
Well, Tigers tonight are stuck mainly with about 4 or 5 different plays. A dive, a blast, a toss, and down, out, and down passing, and then the one drag over the middle. That's what he's brought there. And once again, fairly conservative pass out to the flat, the weak spot. Down inside the 15 to the 13.
Stasio out there on the coverage on that play. He was right on Weisbach, but he was playing soft enough so that John had plenty of room to catch the football before Stasio was there to make the head.
And Hans has set that up well because by running it down out of bounds, they have softened up the defensive backs, and so anything underneath them is probably going to work. Out of the eye, the pitch goes to Fiorentino. I don't think he's going to go anywhere here. As Chris Bell, the monster, responsible for taking him down for a loss, and that'll be back at the 19-yard line.
There was a blitz on that play, and Kevin Hughes got caught in the middle. Kevin not really sure who to pick up as far as the blocking assignment was concerned, and by the time he realized that Chris Bell was the right man to take, Bell, who's pretty quick, was already by him.
And a loss of 6 for the Tigers on the play, and they called timeout. 3 minutes to go, third quarter. Tigers 7, Hornets 6.
And 36-yard field goal here. This is going to be tough. If he hadn't lost those 6 yards, you might have figured good.
At the 26. The boot, it looks like it might have enough distance. But it's a little off, maybe a little shy, and also a little off to the right.
Probably about 3 yards shy and a yard out to the right. If they had not lost the 6 yards on the previous play, you'd think that John Weisbach probably would have been able to put that ball through, because I would guess that John's range is probably 33, 34 yards. He was maybe just outside that range on that kick. Touchdown go for 2 to win.
First and 10 from the 20. And Kevin Hughes meets Ritos head on, and I think 215 Hughes is going to win that one most often.
I think he probably did right there. I think that Kevin definitely greeted Mr. Ritos. Kevin, you know, from all the preseason indications, the discussion was that he was going to be one of the best ball players that the Tigers came up with. Hands got a man down on the field. Looks like Pegnataro on the far side over there. That would not be a real pleasant thing to have happen right now.
Use your hand, players, number 77.
Looking over the USA Today, Friday.
Okay.
I noticed that they were running through some of the percentages of the college coaches, people like Lou Holtz and Bo Schembechler, and some of the best coaches in the nation on the college ranks, mind you, 730, 740 winning percentage. Took a look at Larry Ciotti's.
He's around 8 change, isn't he?
21st year of coaching, not all here at hand. 126 and 27, 830.
Okay.
Speaks for itself.
Yes, I think it does. I think that kind of says something. And certainly his hand record is right in that range. I'd have to sit here and do some mental gymnastics that I don't really want to do right now because I'd probably make a mistake, but I would guess that it's over 800. And with Chris Spignesi still down on the field, this is not real promising. Tigers are already thinned out in terms of injuries with a number of people not seeing action tonight. And you lose a starting two-way tackle. It's not very, very helpful.
And why don't we mention how, while we have a moment, some of the players not seeing action either this year or this game. We mentioned earlier about Stu Leckie, who's got a knee problem. Scott Duncanson with the broken rib. Dan Zaneski with a thigh. Hopefully will be back next week. Leckie, they were really not sure.
He's like week to week, I think.
Right, and
Dunk's out 6 weeks anyhow.
Probably at least half the season, maybe more, with the broken rib. Paul Marinville, wide receiver, defensive back, is out. The running back, defensive back Mike Frazier, also out. Scott McGregor, who had an injury during baseball season, lifting some weights. Will not see any action this season, I understand. John Hevesy, you spoke of earlier.
John is going to be out for the year. Apparently he had a neck injury which has healed, but not to the point that the doctors feel as though he should take the chance. And Larry Ciotti was definite about it. He said no way this year, because John is going to be perhaps as good a football player as anybody in hand has ever been. Certainly has the size to be, and potentially is as good as they come.
Regular on that.
Right, and also sophomore center defensive tackle Jeff Green is out. Witkowski over the right on the keeper. He stumbles down after picking up about 3. Stephen McIntyre, 5'7", 130-pound sophomore, the tackle.
And Steve McIntyre on the top for him.
What do you got?
Getting to that point in the game where it starts to drag a little bit, sort of waiting for something to happen, Chris. Now, this is the kind of thing where if Boston were in the lineup, you sort of figure something's going to happen. Now, Branford's figured out how to complete a pass, throw it in the backfield.
And Witkowski to Riz. It'll actually lose yardage on that pass reception, and it'll bring up a funny situation.
And there's somebody down. Is that maybe Ritos over there who's down? If so, that's going to be Branford's second lost tailback of the night.
Rios looks to be walking over to the sidelines. 41. So the good news for Branford is it's not
Ritos. Yeah. The bad news is that it is somebody.
Exactly.
And he is still down, whoever it is over there. And there's too many hand players and officials and trainer over there. We just simply can't see. Frank Rodini's out there, and he's calling for some people to come out and help. So this could be something semi-serious.
And so with 1:47 to go in the third quarter, we'll take a quick timeout. Tigers in front, 7-6.
Let's get back in punt formation from his own 21. It was Mike Cardarelli, the injured player for Branford. Not a real good kick, but everybody getting out of the way. Finally, Branford downs the ball at about the 43-yard line. Now when the officials get done with it, still around between the 42 and 43. Well, Mike Cardarelli, the injured player on that situation, finally more or less limped off, but appeared to be semi-serious anyway.
Tigers got a good break on the bounce on that punt, along with having a punt into the wind. Chris Stanton is when he down the ball for Branford. Minute 20 to go, third quarter. Tigers up 7-6. And Hevesy will sprint to the right behind Kelly and Spignesi.
He's got him.
Down, down. Overthrows an Oprio as Hilgert comes over late, looking to pick it off.
He had an Oprio open too. He overthrew him by about 4 inches maybe, because Oprio got that big hand up there and almost caught the football anyway. Hand not bad. Minute 10 to go in the third quarter. That's all they've got to win for. You might as well take advantage of it.
Second down, 10. As Hevesy directs an Oprio to split out a few extra yards. And once again, they'll run it down. Hevesy will keep it this time. Turns the corner. And tripped up and out of bounds at about the 36-yard line.
Jason Lamont, nice play, because if Lamont doesn't make that play, Hevesy had probably 15, 18 yards down the sideline, because he had a nice phalanx of blockers out in front of him.
And we called the 30 for him, Lamont's name, quite a few times tonight, and he was not even listed as a starter.
He's a junior, but he's playing football for the first time. As I said, a very good athlete, good pole vaulter in track, good runner in track, and obviously a pretty good football player.
They're down at 4. 3 receivers left side. I formation for the Tigers. A pitch to Kelly, and Kelly taken down just inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line.
Needed Dave Millard pulling to give him the block and did not get it. If he'd gotten that, he might have had a shot for some yards.
Lepper and Schwartz on the tackle. And the Tigers will call a timeout with the wind at their back. 1 second, 2 seconds now. We see from the referee 2 seconds left on the clock. And the Tigers will have a 4th down situation and what looks to be a long 2.
And takes timeout with 2 seconds remaining. There are officially 2 seconds.
Decided on 4th and 2, the Tigers should punt it away. So,
Of course they're not going to.
exactly, and that's why we're up here announcing, and there's Yanni's coaching.
Not only that, but he made the perfect play, which is throw that little look-in pass to Wiesbach cutting across. Hevesy does the job. First down.
And that is the end.
Safe up here, Chris.
And on the slam, Wiesbach took it down to about the 28-yard line. And they're going to switch ends now for the final quarter of the opening game of the 86 season. Hand in front, 7-6. First and 10 for the Tigers. And Hevesy's switching out left. And he'll be forced out of bounds at about the 25-yard line.
It's the first time he's gone that far with it. The other couple of times that he's ran that play on the sprint out, he is pulled up and thrown. That time he really didn't have anybody to throw the ball to, so he decided that the best thing to do is just tuck it up and run.
About a 1-yard gain. Schwartz put the pressure on Hevesy, forced him out of bounds. Ball spotted just shy of 25. Took it down to 9. And the dive to Spignesi, and he'll get to the outside.
He may score!
Hilger left, and Hilger takes him down as they lead head on. Down at about the 3-yard line. No, it's hard to see the sideline markers from here.
I think you're around the 8 or 10. No.
On the 8-yard line?
Yes, around the 8.
8-yard line. The soccer lines and the football
Yeah.
lines together make it a little confusing down this.
I think they must have field hockey lines down there too. I don't know. Robbie Spignesi, I think, decided he couldn't get to the outside and figured the best thing to do was just to try to pull it through. And Hilgert met him with a head-up form tackle, and that was the end of the play. Nice play by Spignesi, though.
Well, the carries Kelly had, I think it lulled the defense's sleep a little bit as far as the dive play to Spignesi, because he only carried the ball a couple of times before that.
Oh, no longer a 50-50 drawing. Now it's like win $100 and then have another shot. Chris, don't throw those tickets away. You got to find yours, though.
I think in my back pocket, Second down, 7. Ball just outside the 5. Pitch goes to Kelly, and Kelly will get down about the 2.
Nice run by Brian Kelly. Good job of ball faking on that play by Hevesy. I think probably the camera could pick it up. Chris is following through his fakes very, very well. He's bringing the hands up real high, and I think he's probably creating a little bit of havoc for a couple of the Branford defensive linemen. When he slipped, especially with what he did with Spignesi the play before, where he slipped the ball inside, then fake coming up, and then fake coming up higher. Probably gave Robbie a little bit of running room that he might not have had.
On 3rd down, 2, they split the defense of Branford out by sending 2 receivers to the right. Hevesy will try to carry it in. He'll get down and in for the touchdown. At 10:06 in the 4th quarter, the Tigers stretch their lead to 7. Now we'll look to make it 8 or possibly 9.
Spignesi, big block on that play. Right now, yeah, you go for 2, and you say that a touchdown and a 2 doesn't beat you. You go for 1, you force a touchdown and a 2 for a tie.
Now the looks like what they're going to do. Number 4, so there's Wiesbach trots on the tee.
He's, at this point, you'd have to consider John to be a relatively sure thing on an extra point. And not a bad idea to take one, even into the wind here.
It has picked up a bit. And maybe a bit tough. You'll have to leg. And right through the net, it hits it beautiful. And the Tigers stretch their lead to 8, 14-6. And it comes down to the 25, fielded there by Cardarelli. And a little bit of nifty running manages to pretty much on his own get up to about the 33.
He was trying to duck in behind the wedge, and he sort of lost sight of it because he's generally supposed to be part of it. But his kick was a little bit short to get into the wind. That wind is stiff right now. That was a nice extra point by John Wiesbach. They didn't win again, Chris.
9-9, 8-9.
Yeah.
Well, we're seeing number 40 carry the ball, Rich Austin.
That could be interesting for the fourth quarter.
Up to the 38. Pickup of about 6 on his first carry of the second half. And I think that last touchdown by the Tigers is the reason we're seeing Austin back in the game.
It could very well be that Frank Granini has decided it's time to pull out a couple of stops if he wants to win. And Rich Austin is certainly a stop he wants to pull out.
On 2nd and 4, once again, it's Austin, and he'll be shy of the first down, about 1.5 yards or so. We'll call it 3rd down in a yard.
And at that point, he went down. Dave Millard, the linebacker, number 62, was trying to do a little make-a-wish, grabbing Austin's leg and kind of holding on to it while a couple of other people came up and finished off the hit.
And the clock winding down, we're in the 8 minutes here. And
Harness taking a timeout.
They need at least 8 points, so this possession will be very important.
And Branford messed up the play on the way in. And apparently that was the reason for the timeout. There was a confusion as to what was supposed to be called.
9. If you have that ticket, please bring it to the press box.
Well, speaking of the raffle tickets, second prize is now $100. What does that make first prize?
100. No more 50-50 rather. They just give out 100 twice and that's it. Instead of giving out a couple hundred, 300 to one person. Not a bad deal.
No. Witkowski on the keeper will get enough for the first down as he moves the ball up to the Hornet 44-yard line.
This is as big a possession as Branford has had in the game. Hornets have got to get something going offensively other than Rich Austin's scintillating 72-yard run with 25 seconds left in the first quarter and a couple of other long runs by Austin which wind up fizzling. There's been nothing for Branford offense.
And it is Austin left side, hops over a few people. Finally, it takes 4 tacklers to take Austin down at the Tiger 45-yard line. And getting up from the bottom of the pile was John Wiesbach.
Wiesbach had him, and then a couple of other people came over to make sure. And Austin rapidly closing in on 200 yards.
And this Hornet team reminding me much of the New York Jets. As Freeman McNeil goes,
so go the Jets. I think Kenny O'Brien's a little better than Witkowski.
A little better. Kevin Hughes. No gain on the play for Witkowski, who kept it trying to get around the left side and bring up second down and 10. But the Hornets far better when Austin's in the ball game. I mean, they can move the ball on the ground. If they had a bit of a passing game, Al, we have to think that they might challenge in the Hoosie. Without the passing game, though, I'd have to question it, although you know more about that conference than I do.
Yeah, the Hoosie is a running conference, but you're right. If you have that combination, you're going to do real well in that league. Part of the reason Sheehan did so well last year, they didn't throw off, but when they did, Brian Salisbury was always on the mark. Sheehan wound up going to a state title game as a result.
Austin, once again, the ball carrier, picks up 5 down to the 40. Dave Green off the bottom of the pile, along with Dave Millard.
Branford doing a nice job of grinding it out right here on the ground. And, again, with Austin in the lineup, you got to worry about him.
Wearing a pad over his left elbow. Right there, we saw Pignataro and another hand tackler have their arms on Austin's legs legs, and he just kept the legs pumping, stepped over there, and managed to pick up a couple. He was hit originally at the line of scrimmage, managed to get 2, and that'll make things a bit easier at 4th and about 3, or short 3. We need to advance the ball up to about the 35, and with one of the biggest plays in the game for Branford coming up, they'll take a timeout. 4th down, 3 yards to go. Witkowski looking to pass the ball, and it is picked off and it dropped down at the 25-yard line. Rubler had his hands on it, and it was a nice play on the part of one of the Branford Hornets, number 24, Mike Cavallero, I think, to break up the interception by Rubler.
If I'd been a little closer, I might have thought there was a face mask on Cavallero on the ground. But certainly he did a nice job of all of a sudden turning into the defender.
And I tell you, the way Austin's carried the ball, regardless of whether the Tigers would have been looking, and obviously keying for Austin, their passing game has been inept.
Inept is probably the best way to put it.
I'd have to question the call there on 4th down.
Austin was not in the lineup. He was off the field at that point.
Right, but your key man's got to be in there. When you need it on 4th and 3, you got to have your main man.
I think you got to have him in.
You got to go with your main gun. And I'd have to say, offensively for the Tigers, we saw before, their main guns right now, with Lecky out, would be their quarterback Hevesy. One of their co-captains, Wiesbach, and on the key 4th down play earlier, we saw the slant pattern. Hevesy to Wiesbach. Got to go with your key people, key situations.
Spignesi, the ball carrier there. Branford with now 9 men right near the line of scrimmage, now backing it off to 8. And Spignesi finds a hole. And he's got himself another 3-4 yards. And for him, this becomes a big possession, shall we say. That's a time when the Tigers have got to work some time off that clock. It's down under 6 minutes right now. Hand's got to work that clock down so that it's in its favor.
And it's a 3rd down 3 situation with 5:40 to go in the ball game. Tigers up 8 as they break the huddle with Spignesi and Kelly. And now in the power high right, Wiesbach. D'Onofrio is tight right, Newcomb tight left. And the Tigers may have taken too long. And a costly mistake because 3rd and 8, wind in your face, as opposed to 3rd and 3.
I'll tell you what, Branford had a little to do with that, though, because the Hornets did not set up defensively until Hand was already at the line of scrimmage. That cost 5 or 6 seconds right there. Hand was waiting for Branford to set up, and then the Tigers moved D'Onofrio left to right, and that caused the rest of the problem. Now you're almost definitely in a throwing situation, which is tough.
Hevesy sprints out left, being pressured by Schwartz, and he'll be taken down.
Very wisely. Very wisely eats the ball on that. Instead of trying to throw it, instead of trying to force something, Chris showed some poise. He's been around. He knows what he's doing. And he just decided, okay, fine, I got to turn it up. I'm not ready to square up and throw. I'll eat the ball. Smart play.
Well-coached, experienced team. I mean, that's basically been the difference. The Tigers
have not made the dumb mistakes. Branford has made some.
The talent, at least from what I've seen so far tonight, probably favors Branford, especially with Rich Austin. And then again, the Tigers missing, both Scott Duncanson and Stu Lecky, 2 of their key players.
D'Onofrio gets a nice hop on the punt, and Hand is going to down it at about the 27 and give Branford 4:42 to go. Branford with 73 yards to go. Of course, as we saw, Austin can take care of that in one play.
And he did in the first half. 72, 73, one play. Of course, he may be a step slower this half with his injury in the first half. We'll have to see if he's in there now or not.
Yes, he is. Cardarelli in front of him, and he came off the field banged up also. Witkowski, I don't believe, is throwing the ball, and it's going to get picked again.
Got his head and almost picks it. I think Wiesbach had a better chance of catching than D'Estasio did.
All the way. D'Estasio turned defender on that one and got a hand on the ball to knock it away. That's happened 4 or 5 times tonight. Branford right now is not throwing the ball very well at all, and that's a little bit of a panic move. When you're doing that on first down from your own 27-yard line, that's a little bit of going away from your game plan.
Right, and I also wonder if Branford has scouted the Tigers at all, because, you know, thrown against that side, with Rubler and Wiesbrock, is tough, especially for somebody like Bukowski, who has not completed many passes.
Well, you got Austin, why bother? As he just proved right there, although there's a flag which I think is going to bring it back, but I'm not sure. Oh, no, they're calling this on hand.
Defensively,
No, it is. It's against Branford.
defensively, the Tigers have made a substitution. Sophomore Steve McIntyre is no longer in the game at one of the corners.
We have in there Wiesbrock, Rubler I see out there. I'm going to see who else is in the huddle going back into the secondary.
Oh, Hevesy. Hevesy is now in,
Okay.
replacing McIntyre. At the left corner, Witkowski will pitch out to Ritas. Millard, Newcomb can stuff him at the 19-yard line in a loss on the play for the Hornets.
Nice job defensively by the Tigers to stuff that play on the outside. They forced the pitch early, and then they had people on the outside to take care of it when it got out there. So far, Hand has done a very nice job on all the option stuff on the eye, of containing the quarterback, containing the corner, and just denying that entire situation. Even Austin, on that particular play, has not gotten too much. Where Austin's gotten his plays has been the off tackle and the inside stuff.
3rd and 18, Hevesy and Wiesbrock about 25 yards deep. The pass is picked off by Newcomb at the 35. Looks for some running room. Still on his feet, flags are down, but Newcomb brings the ball inside the 25, about the 24, with 3:23 to go. The Tigers have possession and an 8-point lead.
And their 4th pick of the night. And it could easily have been 7.
And the flag, I believe, was on the run back, and it would be against the Hornets.
No, it's against Hand for a clip on the run back.
Right. I thought possibly Newcomb had that tackler head on there might have been a face mask. And there was a clip on the run back, which happens so very often.
I think we saw that on every single play that was either a run back, a punt return, or a kick return last year. We just saw a clip or a block below, a blocking behind, or a block below the waist. Kind of a situation last year. So far, we haven't seen that tonight.
No, we haven't.
Just on this play right here with the clipping. We saw one of those in the first half also.
Now the Hornets off the sense of people, take some chances. Got to get the ball from the Tigers. They'll be looking to strip it as Spignesi with 2 hands around the ball gets inside the 40 to about the 39.
He's as good a possession carrier as you're going to have. I don't think he's going to cough it up.
And we're now under 3 minutes. And Spignesi will get 3 in the book for that. 2nd down, 7.
It's a tough 3 yards to pick up right here, too, because you know everybody's trying to take the ball away from him, and you've got to protect it, and you've still got to try to make some yards.
Traffic is one way outbound. Please make 2 lanes and pedestrians use the bike
Once again, it's Spignesi. Big hole. Gets to the outside and down to the 30-yard line. And a key 1st down.
Yes, it is. 2:24 left. That stops the clock, which is helpful to Branford, only because the Hornets are down to, I believe, 1 timeout.
Pegatero down.
He was hurt earlier, Chris, and came back into the game, but that's not a good sign for him. The Tigers can ill afford to lose anybody else to injury. And everybody's out there right now taking a look.
Pegatero's hand is shaken up on the play.
Looks like ankle.
.224 to go, 14-6 Tigers, and they have the ball. Dr. Sclair out on the field, along with assistant coach Steve Spula, also the rest of the assistants for the Tigers, Steve Philippone and Tony Giannetti.
Oh, not as bad as we thought. That's
New
great.
coach Brad Buffington.
Okay, that's not as bad as we thought it was, and it may have been that that's what happened before, was that he cramped up. I finally saw him when they turned around. They were doing some massage on his calf muscle, so that's what that was. Just a leg cramp. Painful, but not serious.
And Branford with 9 men up tight, within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. Spignesi bowls forward for a couple. Second down and 8. As the clock winds down close to 2 minutes, and we'll be under 2 minutes before this play gets off.
Tigers basically need one more first down to assure it. Because Branford, I think, still has one more shot to stop the clock.
On the eye, Hevesy to Kelly. Kelly will get it forward. About the 26.
Nelson Ryan makes the stop for Branford at the 26.
About 6 yards to go for first.
And we're down now to minute 20, minute 19 and counting. Chris Hevesy looking to the sideline for signals. Larry Ciotti calling in a play. Chris is going to go over to the huddle, but they're going to take their time about doing it. And one would assume that we're going to run 2 more plays, and probably at least one of them is going to go with Rob Spignesi.
And a first down will end the game. And we'll get a touchdown instead of a first down. Spignesi. Touchdown, Tigers. And we'll call it 26 yards, Hal?
We're going to call it 26, and we're going to call this one over. Easy to make that prediction with 53 seconds to go.
26-yard touchdown run by Rob Spignesi.
Well, the way it looks right now, Larry Scott will have to be pleased with all the injuries to come out of this one with a win against a tough Branford Hornet team.
I was wondering how you're going to finish that. Pleased with all the injuries. No, pleased to come out with the win. Yes.
Exactly. And what should be a fairly easy game as we thought. This is the extra point.
Now we have some disappointed people. Look at the 14-point spread.
The Tigers, as Larry Ciotti put it, they can get by here the first couple weeks or so until they start to get people back. And with everybody healthy, he expects to challenge for first place in the
With everybody was thinking that he had a top 10 team.
Well, Larry mentioned that, he was mainly worried about Morgan, North Branford, Stratford, Bunnell. And they'll play Notre Dame at Fairfield next Friday night right here. And then a tough Stratford team the following week.
Right.
So perhaps one more week to get some of the injured back as Wiesbach's kick is fielded down to about the 15. Chip Stevens takes the ball out. Rounds at about the 30-yard line with 49 seconds left on the clock. 14-point deficit for the Hornets.
I imagine that somehow they will try to get the ball in Mr. Austin's hands. Although I do not see him in the lineup. Matter of fact, I don't even see Witkowski in there. I think that Frank Cardini has packed it in.
Stevens is the quarterback, number 10.
Jeff Hadley, number 48, for the
Barbarelli.
Jeff Hadley, number 48, was the ball carrier on that play. One would basically assume that Coach Rodini has decided that Branford is not going to win this game and is giving his JVs a little bit of a shot to fly.
And size hole up the middle for Jeff Hadley, number 48, and that should be the last play of the ball game.
Steve McIntyre rammed in on that play. A very big tackle. And this one is all over, and the Tigers open for the victory.
20-6, Tigers over the Branford Hornets. Superb effort by what happens in Virginia State's top running back, Chris Austin, goes for naught for the Hornets. But
certainly hurt. 4 interceptions and 2 fumbled punts. And then Branford's basic inability to take advantage of a couple of long runs by Rich Austin where he did take it down. Hornets had the ball in hand territory and just simply couldn't